Hey everybody, so for today's movie review, I'm going to talk about the film Hellraiser. Hellraiser is a film that came out in the 80s. It is a horror genre movie. Um, One of the lead villains of the film, his name is Pinhead, and he's a famous horror icon ever since the 80s. Um, so Hellraiser is a film where a couple and what appears to be their daughter, and they're moving into this new house. When they first get to this new house, they find out that it's not very clean. It has roach problems, mice problems. There's cigarette butts and food and junk all over the place. But for some reason, they still want to buy it. There's something special about this house, and this husband, wife, and possibly even daughter want to buy it. Um, so they live in the house for about a few days now, if not a few weeks. And the wife of the family notices that when she goes in this one room that hasn't been used yet, when she walks in there, she finds out that her husband's brother is in the room. Not only is he in the room, but he's in very bad shape. He almost looks like a corpse. You find out the reason why he looks so corpse-like is because he was in a place called the Box, and Pinhead, who's the lead villain of the film, has been torturing him in this box for a long time. Um, and the wife finds out that he needs blood, drink blood, in order to go back into the shape that she remembers him as. So she volunteers to find victims for him. Apparently, she's very attracted to her coworkers at work, and she kind of tricks them to think that she's going to have like a secret affair with them at her house, and it's the blood victim for this brother. Um, so over time, this brother's able to become back into the shape that we remember him as. Um, but the box is out and about, and if used incorrectly, Pinhead could get out into the real world and want to use someone else as his victim of torture. Um, so the girl of the family, the daughter figure, um, she's running into problems of her own. There's somebody at work that bothers her, both when she's walking home and while she's working. He doesn't talk, but he does things that are very scary, and he stares her down all the time. He's following her. He's not a good guy. Um, there's a scene in this film where he does something that actually is really, really gross. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it is really nasty. Um, so it gets to the point where she finds out what the box is. She actually gets a hold of the box, and it's kind of like this Pandora box, gold looking thing. And she manages to figure out what it does. And she also encounters Pinhead. Um, and now it's up to her to figure out how to stop Pinhead and everybody else who escaped from the box, and how to stop this evil brother from getting back into his normal form so he can no longer feast on blood of other people. So Hellraiser is a very brutal, violent, and rather strange film. Um, I wouldn't go so far as to say that I would recommend this film, but at the same time, I wouldn't say I hated it. Um, I can see why this film kind of has a cult following. I can also see why Hellraiser is not as big as, let's say, like Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween or um, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. I wouldn't rank this film up in that league. Um, but Hellraiser, I think my biggest compliment toward the movie Hellraiser is the fact that you're almost bothered by this movie. And I think that's what Clive Barker, who directed the film, wants you to think. Another compliment I have about the film is I almost liked how, what's the word? I kind of liked the idea of um, this family kind of encountering somebody that they know, but not well enough to say, "Oh yeah, I'll go get you some victims for this, for your regeneration or whatever." I kind of like that idea, but the way they presented it was almost so brutal that you almost kind of hate the idea after a while. I think the idea could have been done a lot better if they had a better writer for the film. Um, And overall, I think the film could have used a better rewrite altogether. Um, there was never really a moment where I said, "Oh, this is good filmmaking," or "This is the best of the '80s," or I never said that to myself throughout the movie, and that's a sign that this film definitely needed work in a lot of areas. So Hellraiser, I'm not going to recommend this, but I'm not going to say avoid it either. Um, Maybe see it if you are like me and you like Nightmare on Elm Street and some of the Friday the 13th films, and you just want to kind of see a unique horror film at some point. Um, Maybe check it out. It's, like I said, don't put it at the top of your list. But if you like unique horror films, it might be worth checking out eventually. But I'm not going to recommend this one though.